Today we're looking at three full-sized SUVs head-to-head, specifically the Chevy Tahoe, Jeep Wagoneer, and the Toyota Sequoia. They're marketed as large, roomy off-roaders, but today I'll tell you the truth about why they're gas guzzlers, unreliable, and nowhere worth their high price tags. And stick around the end to hear which vehicle offers a far better value than these SUVs in terms of cabin and cargo space at just a fraction of the price. The answer may surprise you. Let's start with the 2023 Jeep Wagoneer. Not many people know this, but the last few decades, various versions of the Wagoneer have been made in the U.S. since 1963. That's 60 years ago. The 2023 model is a full-size SUV, coming with an 8-speed automatic transmission, a 3-liter twin-turbo inline-6 engine that pumps out up to 420 horsepower and up to 468 pound-feet of torque. Compare that to the Chevy Tahoe. The Wagoneer usually comes out top overall, and especially when it comes to third-row seating. In the 2023 Wagoneer, the third-row seating comes with a nice electric assist that moves the seats forward to free up space. Because of the glass roof in the back, sunlight can reach even the furthest seats, and the kids won't feel like they're locked in a cramped dungeon. The third-row seats also come with AC vents, USB and USB-C ports, and cup holders. In the Chevy Tahoe, the third-row seating is a different story. I'll get more into the details later in the video. The 2023 Jeep Wagoneer was ranked number 1 in driver appeal among large SUVs. It also ranked number 1 in residual value. If you're wondering, why on earth is this SUV in this video? Well, here's the thing. When you think of a full-size SUV, you think of things like off-roading, powerful towing, and other utilitarian features. And it's true, many full-size SUVs live up to these descriptions. But there are some key downsides that many people don't talk about. Take pricing, for example. Don't even get me started about how overpriced this full-size SUV is. The 2023 Jeep Wagoneer starts at an MSRP of $61,595. Bump that up to the Series 3 trim, and you see a base price of $72,845, not including any add-ons. With starting prices like that, I'm expecting vehicles' stats and specs to match. But the 2023 Jeep Wagoneer just doesn't live up to its price tag. Being overpriced isn't the only problem with the Wagoneer. There have been many reports of owners experiencing issues with this model. One owner even reported issues with their Wagoneer after just 64 miles. With this specific owner, the issue had to do with an error message on the display saying to check both second-row seat latches before driving. The seats of the 2023 Wagoneer come with mechanical and electrical latches. The problem is the electrical latches can malfunction, as it did in this particular owner. When that happens, the seat latch error message will pop up anytime the vehicle stops. The only way to fix this is to get the latches undone, which means a trip to the dealer. Another issue has to do with the quality of the materials of the interior. Several owners have complained that the leather along the top of the third row seats is pulling away from the backing seams. Believe it or not, this is actually a more commonly reported problem with the Wagoneer than you might think. I don't know about you, but I'm paying $80 grand for my full-size SUV. I prefer the seats to stay in one piece. Other reported issues include things like the steering column, power assist adjustment, and pedal adjustment that stop working. This is a relatively recent issue that Jeep is only recently becoming aware of. So if you own a 2023 Wagoneer and this happens to you, contact Jeep. Out of all these issues, the next one might be the worst of them all. Fuel economy. In one test, the 2023 Wagoneer received a ranking of 1 out of 5 for fuel economy ratings. I'm talking 14 in the city and 20 on the highway with the inline-6. If you get the V8, it goes down to 13 in the city and 18 on the highway. The Wagoneer also scored low, 3 out of 10 in fact, for greenhouse gas emissions. Next up is the 2022 Chevy Tahoe. This is a vehicle that's been around since 1994, so we're talking almost 30 years here. Back in 2021, the Chevy Tahoe sold over 106,000 units, making it one of the most popular SUVs here in the United States, and it often outsells its competition by 2 to 1. The 2023 model offers 3 engine choices. It comes standard with a 5.3-liter V8 mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. You do have an option for the 3-liter Duramax turbo diesel engine. And with the higher trims, you can opt out for the 6.2-liter EcoTech 3 V8 engine that outputs up to 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. Admittedly, the Tahoe offers a light and smooth ride. But the thing is, to get that premium driving feeling, the Tahoe needs premium fuel. Without it, the ride doesn't feel the same. And don't be too surprised to hear that the Tahoe gets 15 miles a gallon in the city and 20 on the highway. It's going to guzzle a lot of expensive premium gas. Now, the standard version can seat up to 8 passengers, but the Tahoe can be equipped with a front row bench to seat 9. The Chevy Tahoe outbeats the Toyota Sequoia in terms of cabin space. It can also tow more, between 8,100 and 8,400 pounds, depending on the engine option. The starting MSRP for the base Chevy Tahoe is $54,200. Honestly, it's not as high as some of its competitors, but with extra features, the SUV can easily go to the $70,000 to $80,000 price range. The High Country trim, for example, starts at $74,395 before add-ons. If you're serious about off-roading, I'll tell you right off the bat, it's not as good off-roading as some of its competitors. I guarantee you can find cheaper vehicles that'll give you a better off-roading experience and better torque. Also, when you're behind the wheel of an SUV that's higher up in the price range like the Tahoe, it's going to require higher priced fuel to match. Fill it up with premium fuel and you'll get more power and better drive, but that comes at a higher cost. That's not even the worst part. But now let's talk about the 2023 Toyota Sequoia. The 2023 Sequoia is available exclusively as a hybrid. We're talking a twin-turbo V6 with an electric motor generator that can be found in a housing between the engine and the 10-speed automatic transmission. It pumps out 437 horsepower and 583 pound-feet of torque, which is impressive. The newest Toyota Sequoia kicks off a new generation Sequoia, the second generation to be exact. But it also replaces the Toyota Land Cruiser, which Toyota no longer sells here in North America. Since it's a hybrid, you'll get a far better fuel efficiency with the Sequoia than you would with the Jeep Wagoneer or Chevy Tahoe. You're looking at 21 miles a gallon in the city and 24 on the highway. Now, the grills on both the Toyota Sequoia and the Chevy Tahoe are punctuated by full LED headlights, but only the Sequoia has premium sequential turn signals and LED fog lamps. That said, the Chevy Tahoe comes out on top in other areas, like smart entry systems, for example. True, both vehicles have the ability for remote start, but the thing is, the Toyota Sequoia requires you to have a remote services subscription if you want to keep the remote start feature after the trial period ends, but the Chevy Tahoe doesn't. But here's the thing. As with all full-size SUVs, the Toyota Sequoia is too overpriced. The starting MSRP of the 2023 Sequoia is almost $60,000, or $59,865 to be exact. But when you look inside the Sequoia, you see that the interior doesn't live up to the price tag. The soft touch material feels hard, almost like vinyl, because of all the plastic around it. Some owners even reported that their second row seats rattle, and as it turns out, the Bolton plastic cover that holds the bottom of the seat belt near the door sill, between the seat cushion and sidewall, rattles and knocks like crazy. Don't get me wrong, the Sequoia is a solid vehicle, but the thing is, it feels cheap. That's why I can't say the price is justified. But just look at the mirrors. Some critics liken the mirrors to moose antlers. Because of the positioning of the mirrors, there's an awkward blind spot that makes it harder for you to see any approaching cars. Now, the SUV does come with blind spot monitoring, so you're not completely at a loss, but still, the full-size SUV would look much more stylish and offer a more pleasant driving experience if the mirrors were designed differently. Now, the Toyota Sequoia offers less cabin and cargo spaces than a Chevy Tahoe. You can blame the Sequoia's hybrid battery pack, which sits below the second row seat. Because of the packaging, the second row doesn't slide. In fact, another reason why the Sequoia isn't worth the price is how the second row seats fold. Generally, to get a third row, you pull a little lever which opens a space for you to slide into the third row. Problem starts once you throw something like a car seat in the mix, which is something you commonly see in a family-sized vehicle like this. With the car seat in the way, to get to the third row seating, you have to either go in from the other side or crawl over it, then walk through the center pass-through area. Now, I know this isn't the end of the world, but for a vehicle that reaches up to the $80,000 range, you'd expect much less of a hassle. Also, if you don't like chrome, you might want to look away from the 2023 Sequoia. It's full of it. I'm talking chrome on the grille, chrome on the hood, chrome on the front bumper. Don't forget chrome on the wheels, mirrors, door handles, window treatments, the lower door runner, roof rails, and even on the Sequoia lettering on the tailgate and rear bumper. It's like a chrome explosion. Anyway, if you're entertaining the thought of getting any of these full-size SUVs, well, it's pretty simple and it all boils down to this. Don't. It's just not worth it. Sure, they might look hip and trendy, but they depreciate quickly. Plus, if you're not a regular off-roader and your real need is a cabin and cargo space, then you don't want to lie to yourself. The truth is, it's better to get a minivan. You're not going to take either of them off-road anyway. Now, not everyone realizes this, but minivans are generally a much better deal than full-size SUVs. They offer ample cabin and cargo space, and they're way cheaper and more reliable. Minivans have low floors and deep cargo wells behind the third row. That means even a full load of passengers, you can still fit groceries, strollers, suitcases, and other gear inside. As a benchmark, just look at the Toyota Sienna. Starting price for a base 2023 model is $36,885, which is just a fraction of what you'd pay for a full-size SUV. Right now, if you're in the market for a minivan, you've only got 4 minivans to choose from. Pretty much, you're limited to the Toyota Sienna, Honda Odyssey, Chrysler Pacifica, and the Kia Carnival. First things first, let me say as far as minivans are concerned, both the Toyota Sienna and the Honda Odyssey are very reliable overall. Both have been in the market for more than 2 decades, which means Toyota and Honda have ironed out a lot of details with these minivans. But let me tell you one of the key differences right off the bat. The 2023 Toyota Sienna only comes as a hybrid car, and the Honda Odyssey only comes in a gas-powered version. If you're looking for power, then it's the Odyssey. Comes with a 3.5-liter V6 engine. I'm talking more horsepower and more torque than the Sienna. 280 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque to be exact. So you get better and smoother acceleration with the Odyssey. On the other hand, the Sienna comes with a 2.5-liter inline-4 with a pair of electric motors. It only gives you 245 horsepower and acceleration isn't impressive. That said, the Toyota Sienna takes the cake when it comes to fuel economy. Reason is because of its hybrid powertrain. The front-wheel drive version offers 36 miles a gallon in the city and highway driving. With all-wheel drive, you're looking at highway mileage 35 in the city and 36 on the highway. In the meantime, the Odyssey will only give you 19 in the city and 28 on the highway. Also, the Odyssey does not come in all-wheel drive. The 2023 Toyota Sienna has the upper hand when it comes to overall ride and handling. Don't get me wrong, both the Sienna and Odyssey have nice ride and handling. The Odyssey has light steering and confident braking with a little body roll when tackling corners. The Sienna has responsive steering and a tight turning circle that makes parking simpler. True, its braking isn't as impressive as the Odyssey's, but the Sienna wins by a long shot because of a feature that doesn't exist with Honda's minivan: all-wheel drive. With all-wheel drive, you're looking at a better ride with more traction on slippery roads. This especially is a game changer if you live somewhere it rains or snows a lot. Let's talk about passenger space. If you get in a minivan, that's usually a priority. Here I feel the Honda Odyssey wins. The Odyssey can seat up to 8 passengers, whereas the Sienna takes 7 max. If you're a stickler for high seat comfort, the Odyssey comes standard with heated front seats, whereas the Sienna does not. You can get it with the Sienna, but you have to pay for the option. The Odyssey also comes standard with a Honda Magic Slide second row seats. Basically, these seats can be tilted forward or backwards or even completely removed if you want to make room for more cargo. Truth be told, the second row seats are rather heavy and can be a pain to remove, but at least the option is there if you ever need it. The Odyssey also takes the crown when it comes to cargo space because of its removable second row. We're talking up to 38.6 cubic feet cargo space behind the third row, up to 92.3 cubic feet behind the second, and up to 158 cubic feet behind the first. With the Sienna, on the other hand, you can't remove the second row seats. So that's the limiting factor with cargo space. What about towing? Well, if you're in the market for a vehicle with impressive towing power, minivans are hardly even a consideration. Minivans generally lack the towing power you get with large trucks and SUVs. But if you're curious, while the Sienna and Honda are tied, both are rated to pull up to 3,500 pounds, which is pretty average for a minivan. Let's talk about the interior. To be frank, the Honda Odyssey's infotainment system is rather dated, but it wins when it comes to a quieter cabin. The Toyota Sienna offers a solid build quality inside the cabin and many soft touch surfaces. The problem is noise. True, the Sienna's cabin insulation helps with wind and road noise, but the engine noise is rather intrusive, especially under heavy throttle. That said, the Sienna offers more interior features. For example, the Sienna comes standard with a 9-inch touchscreen and 7 USB ports, as opposed to the Odyssey's 8-inch screen and only 2 USB ports. Also, base Sienna models even come with their own Wi-Fi hotspot, whereas in the Odyssey, this is only an option. As far as exterior features, both the Sienna and Odyssey come with standard heated side mirrors to clear away ice and snow. Both models also come with standard LED low and high beam lights for increased visibility while driving. However, the Odyssey takes it a step further with standard LED fog lamps, whereas the Sienna doesn't offer this. The Odyssey also offers optional perimeter approach lights, which is another feature that the Sienna doesn't offer. When it comes to affordability, the 2023 Toyota Sienna narrowly takes the top spot. It has 3 trim options, and the starting MSRP of the base Sienna LE trim is $36,885. The highest trim, which is XSE, starts at $45,205. The Honda Odyssey has 5 trim options. Starting MSRP for the base EX trim is $37,490, which is close to the Sienna's base trim price. And if you're interested in the top Odyssey trim, which is the Elite, you're looking at $49,620. But now let's talk about safety. One of the best indicators of how safe a vehicle is has to do with how it performs in crash tests. There's only so much that stats on paper can tell you. You need to see how it does in real-life driving scenarios. Now here's the thing. You'd think that minivans would be some of the safest vehicles out there. After all, they're the vehicle of choice for many large families across America. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, or IIHS for short, conducted a series of crash tests on 2023 models of the Honda Odyssey, Toyota Sienna, Chrysler Pacifica, and Kia Carnival. While these crash tests are routine and normal, believe it or not, the test raised some serious concern. Actually, the results were honestly embarrassing, if not alarming. In the event of a front-end collision, all 4 minivans failed to adequately protect rear seat passengers. Out of all 4 minivans, none received a rating of good or even acceptable. To be clear, the minivans performed well in crash tests for the years prior, but not too long ago, the IIHS decided to raise its standard of testing. Reason is to believe that backseat passengers were being overlooked. According to the IIHS, people in the rear seat are increased risk of fatal injury compared to those in the front seats. You see, it's not that the rear seat has somewhat gotten less safe over time, it's that the front seat has gotten so much safer in comparison. So the IIHS implemented an additional dummy that was seated in the rear seat on the driver's side. The driver dummy is the size of an average adult man, and the rear dummy is the size of a small woman or 12-year-old child. According to the IIHS report, researchers also developed new metrics that now focus on the injuries that are more frequently seen in backseat passengers. For a vehicle to earn a good rating, the second row dummy needs to remain properly positioned during the crash without submarining or sliding forward beneath the lap belt. If this were to happen in real life, it would increase the risk of abdominal injuries. The head of the dummy also needs to remain at a safe distance from the front seat back and the rest of the vehicle interior. The shoulder belt should also stay where it's most effective on the shoulder. During the test, pressure sensor on the rear dummy's torso is used to check the shoulder belt position during the crash. Well, the overall report found all 4 minivans provided good protection for front seat occupants, but the problem was when it came to the second row safety. Well, this was an issue for all minivans that were tested. Believe it or not, the 2023 Honda Odyssey received the worst overall score out of the 4 minivans. 3 of the minivans received a marginal rating, but the Odysseys received a poor rating. The most concerning issue with the Odyssey safety is the risk of head and neck injuries. In the poorly rated Odyssey, the forces of the head and neck were very high. Crash video showed that the rear seat belt allowed the dummy's head to come too close to the front seat back, which also increases the risk of head injuries. On top of that, the restraint systems in all 4 vehicles are found to leave the second row occupant vulnerable to chest injuries. This could be either because of excessive belt forces or poor belt positioning. And that's concerning because injuries like that can prove to be fatal. Out of the 4 minivans, only the 2023 Toyota Sienna is equipped with belt pre-tensioners and force limiters. These are both technologies that are designed to reduce belt forces. Despite this, the rear dummy in the Sienna still submarined beneath the lap belt, and the shoulder belt moved out the shoulder towards the dummy's neck during the test. Interestingly, the Sienna was the only minivan tested that had seat belt reminders for the second row seats. In the 2023 Kia Carnival and Chrysler Pacifica, the seat belt exerted too much force on the dummy's chest. The side curtain airbag of the Pacifica also didn't deploy during the test. While forces on the rear dummy's neck were within reasonable limits in the Pacifica and Sienna, they were substantially higher in the Carnival. This means that it poses more of a risk of a head or neck injury. If you're wondering how the 4 car makers responded to these poor tests, well, Stellantis said in a statement that no single test determines vehicle safety. It added that it engineers its vehicles in real-life performance and routinely considers third-party ratings and factors them into its product development processes as appropriate. The company also said that it has a long history in the minivan segment and that the security and protection of its customers are critical concerns at Stellantis. According to Stellantis, every one of its models exceeds or meets all applicable federal vehicle safety standards. But regardless of what Stellantis may say, its Chrysler Pacifica did not exceed or even meet the IIHS safety standards, and that's that. Kia said that Kia America prioritizes vehicle safety and that all Kia vehicles sold in the U.S. meet or exceed federal motor vehicle safety standards. Kia also said that passenger protection is complex and involves a diverse range of variables. Kia also said it would carefully evaluate the results of the IIHS test as part of what it calls its commitment to continuous improvement in occupational protection. If you're curious about Honda's response, well, Honda said that Honda is a leader in IIHS safety rating, with 10 Acura and Honda models recognized by the Institute with their 2023 Top Safety Pick or Top Safety Pick Plus ratings, including the 2023 Odyssey. Honda said the IIHS updated testing metrics challenged cars that were fully engineered prior to the introduction of the new test mode. If you were wondering what Toyota said about all this, interesting enough, it remained rather silent with regard to the IIHS ratings of the 2023 Sienna. But now, you tell me, what do you think of the new safety results? Which is the better minivan, the Toyota Sienna or the Honda Odyssey? Please share by commenting below. If you liked today's video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for your support.